Hi everyone. So today I want to watch a video by the YouTuber Matt Walsh about regretful parenting. So the premise of the video is that he goes through the Regretful Parents subreddit and reads entries by people who regret being parents or hate that they're parents, and then tells them why what they feel is wrong and why you should love being a parent. So so first I'll go through some of the entries that he reads and I'll read them to you. And then we'll go through some of his commentary and I'll respond to that. So let's get started. So this entry says, if only I knew this subreddit existed, I probably could have avoided the biggest regret of my life, which was becoming a mother. I feel so tied up. I want to get an education. I want to work and travel. I want to live again and fall in love with life again. I used to travel a lot back in my early 20s. I always took part in some exchange programs in Europe and got to see a lot. I met amazing people. My son's about to be 3, and I'm just not having it. I've been contemplating just leaving them and starting my life somewhere else. Okay, this one says, my daughter just turned 5, and I was already regretful about having her and having no love for her. We treat her well, and I say I love her and all that jazz to not mess up her childhood, but she has now been diagnosed with selective mutism, which is a type of anxiety disorder where she can't speak in public or to anyone outside her immediate family. Her teacher says she doesn't speak a word at school, and her peers keep asking her why she doesn't talk. I already hated life as a parent, and now I have to deal with psychologist appointments. What a joke of a life I've gotten myself into. Okay, and then this final one I'll read says, just day after day after day, and it never ends, and it never changes. Incessant bickering, screaming, slapping, kicking, biting, fighting over every possible tiny goddamn effing little thing. I don't know if I can say that word. When all my attempts for diplomacy fail and I finally snap and yell at them to stop, they act absolutely shocked and hurt by how mean dad is, and it works. I end up feeling terrible and apologizing to them on and on it goes. My brain and nerves are completely shot. I don't understand how they seem to thrive in that level of dysfunction. I know kids are dramatic and all, but I know I was never like that as a kid. It's effing bonkers. Okay, so following this, Matt Walsh gives his own commentary about these clips I just read. I can't show his entire commentary because it's just going to take too long to respond to all of it and include it in the video. So I recommend if you want to go watch his full video so you can get the context for everything. But I'm going to respond right now to the arguments I thought were most ridiculous. So let's get started. Okay, so the takeaways that I had from the excerpts that I read, and to note, that wasn't all of the excerpts he read. I'm just giving you some of them to give you some context. Yeah, the takeaways I had were okay, some people regret having children. And, clearly it's more than some people because there's an entire subreddit dedicated to it. So, people regret having children. That's an issue. That's an issue in society people have. Now, that's what I took away from that. What did Matt Walsh take away from that? Well, like most conservatives, Matt Walsh goes in the direction of, oh, it's probably your fault. So, let's watch this clip first.
A lot of parents who feel this level of anger and despair to the point of actually regretting having kids, it's at least partly because their kids are out of control and totally unruly. The kids are running the house, bouncing off the walls, ruling the roost, and you're at wit's end. Here's the good news about that. And it'll sound like bad news, but it's actually good news, is that it's your fault. It's totally your fault. You are 100% to blame. Your kids are out of control because you are out of control.
So yeah, later he compares it to like a mutiny on a ship. He's like, if the captain projects feelings of insecurity and not lack of competence, then the crew will get that feeling and mutiny. And it's like that with kids. They like project crazy feelings when the parents show incompetence and look like they don't know how to handle them because the kids rely on the parents. Um, and I guess that could happen, but it seems that in a lot of the excerpts he read, it wasn't necessarily just, you know, lack of control of the kids. Like the one person complained about not being able to like get an education and travel to Europe, right? Like I don't know if having control of your disciplining your kids is really going to be significant in determining whether you're able to go to Europe now. Like you're still going to have to take care of the kid regardless of their discipline. Like that's not going away. So I don't know about that. But I almost think that argument's more of just a side point. I'm going to show you a clip right now, which is serves as the conclusion to his video and seems to therefore encapsulate his entire argument. And when I play this clip, I want you to listen to the framing because I feel like Matt Walsh takes some liberty here to essentialize or strawman the regretful parents argument or the people in the regretful parents movement as all just hating their kids like with like in a vile way. And I'm sure some do, and that's not okay. You shouldn't hate your kids, but just focusing on hating your kids and how to deal with that isn't really productive. So I want you to pay attention to that, and then we'll comment.
You shouldn't hate your children. It is wrong to have that emotion. It's possible to have wrong emotions. Like it's bad to have that. You shouldn't feel that way. There's something wrong with you morally. It is morally wrong to have that feeling. The level of anger expressed by most of these people is wrong. Having this kind of disdain for your family is wrong. Venting this kind of stuff doesn't get it off your chest. It's not like opening a window in the bathroom to air out the smell. It's more like a gust of wind on a campfire. All it does is make the flame grow and spread until it's completely out of control. And next thing, your whole life is set on fire. And that's what these Reddit forums do. You should realize that this feeling is wrong. It's not normal. It's not okay to feel that way about your children. The problem is you. It's not your child. It's you. Your children didn't do anything wrong. You are doing the wrong thing, and you need to fix it. So sure, go talk to a therapist if you can find a good one. Big if there, but if you can find a good one. Talk to a spiritual advisor, even better. Talk to a priest, talk to a pastor. But after all the talking, it comes back to you. You owe it to your child to give him your love. In fact, you owe it to your family to be happy. Happiness is a responsibility, and it is a choice. And right now, you're making a choice that is destroying you and your family. And it will continue to until you stop making it.
Okay, so my biggest takeaway from this video entirely is that the entire conversation is on the individual, right? It's about you have a child, you're not happy, the burden is on you to reinterpret your circumstances to be happy. Reframing. The burden's on you to reframe. And that makes sense coming from conservatives. That's basic. I feel like that's kind of what religion is to some extent. Like you can't. That's what Jordan Peterson always talks about. Like it starts with you. You can't change society. Clean your room. Um, and I guess I just find it weird that that's the premise of this video, or the premise this video operates on. Because, the woman from the first example we read was saying that she regretted having a child because now she can't travel to Europe or pursue an education. So it's weird that instead of taking her head on in what she said, Matt Walsh responds with, oh, well, it's not, maybe society should um, better educate people so that they know the burdens and responsibilities of having a child. It's instead, well, there's a burden on you to fake happiness because you should be, being happy is important to having a functioning family, and you have to do everything for your family. So it just seemed like a weird direction to go in. But when I say it's a weird direction to go in, I mean it's a weird direction for me. This makes complete sense for people like him. Like when I first read the comments that he read at the beginning of this video, my initial reaction was, okay, maybe we should do like government funded abortions or like more access to birth control or like more health classes in school so people know that like it takes a lot of responsibility to raise a child and in the economy we live in you'll probably have to make some sacrifices for things you want to do to pay for things that your child needs. But yeah, there's no talk from Matt Walsh about like a social policy we could do or a systemic policy we could do to limit the number of cases where people who probably don't want children have children and like that situation manifests itself. Right? Like that's a big reason people support abortion because like just because you can be a parent doesn't mean you'd be a good one or want to be one, right? And like so that like abortion's a good way to limit the number of cases where parents hating their children manifest themselves. But Matt Walsh can't support that because he's religious. And therefore the approach they have to take is one which is religiously founded. He wouldn't approve of systemic change which would attempt to limit the people who might regret having children from having children. Rather, it's on them to learn to like having children because God says it's important to have children.